a matchup.
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS on an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hey kids, it's me. It's I almost said Tuesday. I don't know what it is about my obsession with talking about the wrong day all the time. I always get confused when it's Wednesday. Yes, I know it's Wednesday. Hi, everybody. It's been a while. I know it's been a while, and I apologize for that. I've been kind of jet-setting around New York City and casting and worrying about this film and doing catalogs and getting tired and being crabby. I feel bad for our guest, Beau. I'll try to be nice to him. Just kidding. I'm very excited, very, very excited. So let me just do my really quick, fast announcements, and then we'll get Mr. Allen on the show and get going. Want to remind everybody, certainly I have officially released the catalog, Art is Alive, The Magic of Indie Movies. It is a combination of all the finalists and the winners of my film festival, and it's all compact in that cute little cover with the picture that I have on it of myself and my stylist, and you can get it for the bargain price of $15. Now let me tell you why you want to buy it. Let's explain real quickly. Because if you buy it for $15, what happens is that I sell 2,000 copies, and I turn around and I take $3,000. I spread that out over the course of all of the different individuals who participated in there. So basically, you're contributing to continue to make great art and good film. So I'd greatly appreciate it. The people would greatly appreciate it that are in the catalog, of course, so do so. And go to artisalivefilmfestival.yolasite.com. It's listed on there, and that'll, of course, give the link to the direct website for the calendar itself. I also want to remind everybody that I am still currently, at least I think so, unless I cancel the festival, I'm taking submissions for my own Art is Alive Film Festival. And that can be found on Film Freeway. We just set the website, but let's just say it one more time. Art is Alive, filmfestival.yolasite.com. I want to give everybody a quick update on my film. Had some bad news, and we're having some troubles with our cinematographer/director in Wisconsin. Looks like we may have to recast him too. Shocker. What does that mean for Cindy? Well, that means everything gets pushed back. So just as a heads up for you folks in the radio world that are listening, I am on air this week, next week, and then my guess would be we'll stay on one more week through March 9th or 10th. After that, my intention is to take a hiatus the last 3 weeks of March to get the film done, to get the editing done to some degree, and just get some sanity and try to get a vacation in. I'm not going to lie. I'm exhausted. This filmmaking stuff, we'll ask Beau all about it, because frankly, I don't know what the hell this all is about. It's very confusing, very frustrating. So just one more time as a heads up as far as for our show guests tomorrow. We have a back-to-back show tomorrow, 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. 12 o'clock, we have Noah Fort coming on, and she is a New York City-based musician, actually. Very excited to talk to her. She's very indie. She's very hip, very trendy, more like the very, I don't want to say instrumental. I'm not really hard. It's hard to describe her, to be honest with you. Check out her website, Noah, NOAFORT.com. And then at 1 o'clock, we have an author, and forgive me because the publicist hasn't given me the information, so I'm not going to lie. If you miss the 12 o'clock hour, let's do the 1 o'clock hour, shall we? Same thing with Friday, 11:30 and 12:30 Central Standard Time. Cindy's on the air. And then one more show on Saturday, which is my own personal client, which is Sophie Gutter, little 9-year-old Sophie Gutter. Why is she special? She's my client. Second of all, she developed a chess set and a book on how to play chess and asked me how old she is, 9 years old. That's what I just said, 9. So it's pretty spectacular. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to shut up now. Why? Because I'm not even nearly as interesting or tall or suave or smart as the guy coming on our show. So without further ado, let me get Beau on the line and we'll start talking. Hi.
Hello.
Oh,
Cindy,
I have you, and you're in my ear. I'm nervous. I mean, you're a lot more intimidating on the radio.
I
really,
am.
You are. Well, I can see you like 17 feet tall from here. I'm like, literally, you're like 17 feet tall. And I'm like, all of your castmates today, they were like, he really is tall, isn't he? I'm like, you tower over people. You know that, right?
I do know that, yes. Short is something I've never been accused of.
Well, yeah, that kind of goes without saying. And folks, if you look at him, like, because I posted your picture up earlier and such, I'm like, just look at him. You are obviously, and I didn't know this until I looked at your stats, you're 6'4". So let's get right into play and talk about that a little bit, because you're obviously a working actor. One of the things that always intrigued me was to ask you folks, things like that dynamic, meaning does the height work for you, or is it sometimes more of a deficit or more detrimental in terms of getting cast?
Oh, I have found it to be detrimental more often than not. Although sometimes, if they really want somebody tall, then you're in. But usually, I mean, if it's a short cast or if it's a medium-sized cast, they may think twice about putting someone in it that's my height. So,
okay.
Unfortunately, yeah. But it works for a lot of people. Like I just did stand-in work with John Lithgow. What a career he's had, and he's my height. God. Yeah.
Oh, my God. So that works out nicely. Oh, that's really cool, actually. Now, I know this is a stupid question, but I obviously, of course, equate height to two different things. And let's let our mind be nice on that one. The second one is basketball player. I'm like, totally. Could you play I mean, you're like 40, right? So, I mean, you could still play basketball, right? I mean, you could play a basketball player, I'm guessing. Do you have a talent for that?
No, I was never really a basketball player. I was a swimmer. The story is when I was born, my parents threw me in the lake in Maine, and I swam. So I've just always been a natural born swimmer, and and that was my talent. That was my sport.
That's so cool, though, actually, because some of us, I'm still learning how to do that whole back pedal, front pedal, dead man's float, the whole 9 yards. We do swimming on occasion, and I think it's cool that, an activity like that is really quite healthy for you. I didn't really realize the benefits of it until I started getting, not feeling so well. And you'd be surprised what kind of exercise you get for that. But you're running around all the time. Like, I mean, do you even have time for hobbies? I mean, I see your schedule. You're, like, literally running everywhere all the time. So when's downtime?
It's true. You just have to keep after it in this business because, if you stop showing up, then you don't get cast, so you have to keep showing up. So, yeah, I'm going all the time. That's my lot in life. I don't slow down.
Oh, I bet. That's awesome, though. I mean, it makes for a very interesting life, truthfully, because I'm busy all the time, too, and I'd rather have that than having the staunch sort of standstill sort of lifestyle, so I get that. And I also didn't realize that you were originally from Delaware, and so it occurred to me in all my travels, I've never even been to Delaware. I don't even think I know where it is, to be honest with you. So tell me a bit about Delaware. What's so exciting and spectacular, of course, besides your presence?
Well, my father decided to move his business and therefore his family to Delaware, I think primarily because there was no state tax. He was an insurance salesman. And so, I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, which is the northern part of the state, and you sort of drive through it on 95. But if you go down the state, go down to Rehoboth Beach and Bethany Beach, there's some lovely beaches down there, very recreational and lovely. And, so I haven't spent much time there since I left, although I do have, on a drum roll, a 50th reunion coming up of my high school. Believe it or not, and that's coming up in October. So, so I may be back for that. We'll see.
That's cool. That's very cool, actually. Would you recommend somebody going to see it? I mean, is there a particular reason that I want to venture there, would you say?
I mean, there's always something. There's some, my mother used to volunteer at the Winterthur Museum, and there's, it was a little further north and just over the border into Pennsylvania, there's Longwood Gardens, and they had I worked at a theater there, an outdoor theater that had fountains for curtains, and there was a fountain show after every performance, and there's some lovely things, to see. So,
very cool.
Definitely.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'll have to keep that in mind for future reference when I have free time in the next 20 years or so, which will never happen, but it's worth a shot.
Good luck with that.
I mean, we all kind of go through that gamut of, oh my God, so busy. And just so you folks know, March 2nd is your birthday. So do you have big plans? Because you're turning, 45?
You're a doll. Well, given that Yeah, I'll be 68, and that's the truth. And, there's no escaping it. Yeah, March 2nd, just around the corner.
It is?
Yeah, but I'm 68 years young, so there you are.
Oh, that's so sweet. That is, actually. Now, do you have, like, a set thing you do? Like, some people always have a birthday celebration. Like, they always do the same thing every year or whatever. Do you have anything really exciting out of the ordinary?
I'll probably have a stronger than ordinary beverage. and that's that's probably it. I don't know whether I'll actually celebrate, but I'll just. Well, my last birthday was just quite miraculous. I'll tell you what happened there. I called up to Boston to be interviewed for the John Lithgow stand-in on Daddy's Home 2, and that happened on my birthday. It fell out of the sky. I had no idea. I hadn't asked for it. It just sort of plopped in my lap, and that turned into an over 2-month gig, which led to my, John Lithgow wrote a scene for the two of us. He casting me as his alter ego. And I got to film that scene. Now, it didn't end up in the final film. I keep hoping it'll be in the deleted scenes, but that's what happened on my last birthday. So maybe something good's around the corner here, too. I don't know. We'll see.
I was just going to say, well, if you consider it good, there's a good likelihood that yours truly might be back in the city. So I might actually, if you're in the city, I would actually get to see you on your birthday. So if you consider that to be
cool.
good, I mean, that would be really cool, actually.
That would be lots of fun, yes, definitely.
Or Cupid could strike at zero because, yes, girls listening in, he might be 68, but that mindset's about 30, and he's single and ready to mingle, I'm guessing? Or is there someone special?
No, I'm free, footloose and fancy free, absolutely, yes.
Now, I have to ask you this question, because you're a little bit more mature actor. And so, when some of the actors come on the show, they talk about different things that they enjoy doing. So obviously, we all know that you do have some downtime, because, of course, not all of the people that are listening are your Facebook friends. So they don't get to see what you do, what you enjoy. So really, seriously, when you're not looking at a script or you're not trying to pitch 50,000 people to cast you, what do you really enjoy doing? Because folks just, he's in Stamford, Connecticut, so he's not directly in the city per se. So what are the things that we would find you doing when you're not acting?
Well, I've taken to reading celebrity bios, and I confess that it was my mother's passion, and lately I've picked it up myself, and I find that to be fascinating. I've read all of not all of them, but many of Shirley MacLaine's books recently, and book about JFK and Marilyn Monroe and Sammy Davis Jr., Cary Grant. I find that fascinating. And I also like to watch good films, many of them the older classic films. Beyond that, I sing, so I'm constantly working on the voice, and I have a job in church where they actually pay me to sing, and so that's a great source of joy for me. Yeah.
I imagine so. Definitely.
Yeah.
And of course, clearly, that means it sounds like he still has time for the ladies out there. So if we have a woman who's listening and they're like, oh my God, he's an actor and he sings, and how cool is that? And he's tall as a giant, and I'd love to date him. Tell us a little bit about what you like. So what's the ideal girl? Would she be like an actress? Does it have to be an industry person?
It's a really good question. Probably, because I was married for 35 years, and in the end, I thought she was going to be or was an actress herself, and we sort of met on the stage. But in the end, she turned her nose up at the business, and when I insisted on going back into the business after I'd left for about 20 years, that's when our relationship ended. So, yeah, I think at least it's got to be somebody who thinks it's really cool, You know what I mean? It's like
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So, but
I get it, and they have to understand the business. You know what I mean in terms of getting that. Yeah.
It's very difficult to make plans with an actor because you never know when the opportunity is going to come knocking, and you have to be at a certain place at a certain time. And if you ain't there, then you do not get the job, and there are no second chances. And it's very difficult to schedule things. Even like scheduling a vacation or whatever. So stuff.
Well, and the other thing, too, is, and I asked another actor about this, so I'm curious, again, because with maturity comes some experience and you learn these things. But honestly, one of the things I always thought about was, let's say I dated an actor. Actors get paid to act for a living. So at what point, like, for instance, in your personal life, because I was like, what if you're dating an actor and, like, you're doing this love scene, on screen, but then you have a real-life love scene with him? It's like, when does the acting end? Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think it ever does really end, does it? You know what I mean by that?
Well, from the celebrity bios I've been reading, I mean, it seems like it's a given that, leading men fall in love with their leading ladies and vice versa. And they tend, I mean, it was to hear it written, they act on it. They have affairs when they're off doing a shoot, and then when it's over more often than not. Sometimes they end up divorcing their spouses, but now I'm I haven't really played a lover on film, so this really isn't my own personal experience, but from what I read, that has happened all the time. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. So I was curious about that. And the other personal side to you here is, obviously, of course, you're just like any other person in some regards, meaning that you're a father, you're a brother, you're an uncle. You wear many different hats, obviously. And so in terms of that, how does your family take to, what are their reactions in terms of the sort of work you do? Because sometimes I find that families can be really supportive, and sometimes I hear them say, like, can you get what they call a real job? You know what I mean? Because sometimes the creative arts aren't considered like a real job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. It led to my divorce, really, this business. And, my ex-wife said, it's either me or show business. And, I finally got choice. So I went back into show business. So, yeah. It's not, it's not conducive to close-knit family life. It's very, very difficult. The other thing I learned recently is that many celebrities' children have committed suicide. I mean, like Gregory Peck's son committed suicide, and Paul Newman's son had a tragic overdose, and there are numerous other examples. When a celebrity is that famous and that well known and that successful and makes a lot of money, it's very difficult for the child to feel that he can compete, and he feels less than. And the miracle of stardom is, it's such an arbitrary kind of thing that just sort of foists itself on somebody, and you can't expect that a child is going to, just because he's the son or daughter of a celebrity, is going to enjoy the same kind of acclaim.
Right.
And sometimes it leads to, very unfortunate mental anguish with the children. And so consequently, there are a number of suicides. Now, in my case, I certainly was never a star, so that really doesn't apply. But my daughter basically was, she's a doctor, so she, if anything, she sort of looked down on me.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. exactly.
Gotcha. I understand. I get it. Well,
Yeah.
and here's my other interesting, intriguing question, because I did not know that your birth name was actually Curtis. Because obviously I only know you as Beau Allen. So I was like, where'd that come from?
Well, the short answer is that I was in L.A. Somebody said, "Oh, you're never going to make." I used Kurt Ralston for, my stage name, and for a while. And when I was in L.A., someone said, "Oh, you're just never going to make it with that name." And so I thought seriously about changing it finally. And when it came down to the name that I thought would really be, if I'm going to go to the trouble of just like totally changing my name, I thought, well, I'd like to be Beau, B-E-A-U, Beau. And so that was the name I took, and I put it with Allen because apparently the double L's would be lucky. The A put me at the beginning of alphabetical listings, and so that became my name.
Oh, see, now that's interesting, because when I was researching you, I was like, I bet he picked the name Beau Allen because he knew flat out that Beau Allen is actually a Philadelphia Eagle, and ironically, they just won the Super Bowl. So here I was thinking it was a football thing.
No, not at all. Yeah, but I was aware that it was going to be a name that other people would have, and it is, like Curtis Ralston is like, nobody has that name. I mean, that was like a one of a kind. But Beau Allen is like going to be a little more common, and there'll be other people with that name. But I thought, I like it, this name. Yeah, liking that name.
Yeah, definitely. And there is nothing ordinary about Beau Allen, I can assure you folks. I've met him, I know. Nothing ordinary about this man whatsoever. The height is just the start of many different things, of course. I want to speak about education a little bit, because I know you had studied at Stella Adler Conservatory, and oftentimes most people don't get to attend there and get any education there. And I hear about it often. Stella Adler is one of the big ones out there that I hear about quite frequently. So if you would talk a bit about this, because my listening audience probably won't get the pleasure, a lot of them, of attending. Tell us some of the best parts of getting an education from a place like Stella Adler, and why you would recommend other actors or even other creatives delve into going into that educational facility.
Well, I actually studied with Stella Adler when I was out in L.A., and this was 1977, 78. I was in a class. Terry Garr was in that class.
Nice.
And it was really special from the standpoint. I mean, she occasionally would, Stella actually herself, she was an old woman, but boy, I remember her deciding to play Laura Wingfield in Glass Menagerie for us. And, she transformed herself in front of our eyes. She was on the stage in the theater, and I really thought somebody was up in the lighting booth changing the lighting, because what she was doing was so mesmerizing that it just sort of blew me away. I mean, it was just fantastic. And one of the most memorable things that I remember was after class, she was walking through the audience to the back of the house where I was standing, and she passed women in her class on either side. She just sort of breezed past them, and when she came to me, she came right up to me and said, "Are you working on anything else?" I was so flattered. Yeah.
Oh my
she was
goodness.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's
amazing.
a single moment. Really, that is a single moment. And those moments don't happen all the time, you know that? They really don't.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about on my show about getting educated versus people that, there are some people who, they say they take one acting class and then they can go off and they can try to do certain different things in the theater or certain different things on the silver screen, so to speak. So which side of the fence do you stand on? Meaning if there was a newbie actor standing in front of you, would you tell them to go the traditional route, get as educated as you could inside a classroom, or would you say kind of that life dictates art, if you will, meaning get some experience, personal life experience, just get up on a stage and do it? Which side do you stand on there?
Well, everybody is a different story. You know, some people come into this world fully formed and they could just walk out on the stage or into a film and they'd be magnificent because they just got all that natural ability. And then other people, not so much, or it depends upon your type. You know, for instance, I was very tall. Like I remember going to see a production of Oliver in Wilmington, Delaware. I must have been, 16 or something, and I was already 6 foot, God knows how tall, and I'm looking at these children on the stage and I'm going, God, they'd never cast me as one of those children, you know. I'm too tall. And so for me, I allowed myself to play the waiting game. I got my BA from Tufts, and then I came to the city afterwards, and I took my time. But there are other people that are going to be, shorter, maybe just a great type as a young person, and they need to jump into the pool immediately and see if they can make it happen. But if there's no one easy blueprint for everybody, it's like you have to take each person and try to figure out what is the best route for this person and where are they in their talent. And it's always helpful to get the training and, whether it's Stanislavski or whatever, method acting, or, figure out what you're most suited for. Is it, theater, or is it film, or do you sing, whatever, movement, dance, etc. As much training as you can get, the better off you're going to be. But on the other hand, some people get by without it. They just look right, they're the right type, they just waltz right in and magic happens. So, go figure.
That's awesome. It is. Well, and the other part of the equation is, too, and we talk about this a lot. In fact, I ask a lot of veteran actors this exact same question. We live in a world nowadays where most of us, and, I'm 48 years old, so I remember the days of Marilyn Monroe to some degree. I mean, I remember all the old Hollywood, and I'm a huge fan of old Hollywood. And now you have kind of centered yourself in a world where you're working more so in the independent world. So this is my question to you. I glamorized Hollywood, and I thought it was lovely, and now I work in this industry, and sadly my image of it is kind of getting flawed and frayed, and things aren't as pretty as they would like to be. And so I think a lot of young actors come into the business and they think, I'm destined for Hollywood, and it's so exciting, and there's all this glamour, and it's going to be wonderful. But not everybody gets cast in a Hollywood movie. Not everybody gets to meet John Lithgow. Not everybody gets that big-time thing. So if you were to speak on both sides of the fence, meaning being in a realm where you're around John Lithgow and his projects versus being in a realm like Legit, for instance, where that's in the independent world, two different worlds, but yet same theory. So talk a bit about that, the differences between the two, and maybe kind of keeping expectations realistic within the industry.
Well, in the old days, they had the studio system, and, those 7-year contracts that many actors signed ended up putting a noose around their necks when they got to be big. When they became stars, suddenly they feel they deserve way more money, and but they're locked into a 7-year contract, and the studios can put them in whatever films they want, good or bad, and so they felt used, and so that was the situation back then. Now we have everything's independent. You're on your own. Nobody's paying you a weekly salary, and nobody's teaching you how to do it. You're on your own to learn how to do it, and you just have to apply yourself and keep pushing, keep putting your picture out there, your face out there, just get in the door any way you can get in the door, break it down, and good luck. I mean, it's I think as Shirley MacLaine said, I think she had a big battle that she won against one of the studios, and after she won it, she wondered whether it was right at the end of the breakdown of the studio system, and she felt she won the battle but lost the war, because then the studios were gone and that comfort zone was gone. So we don't have any of that anymore. I mean, I would have been thrilled to have been, to come up in the era of the studio system. I would have signed that 7-year contract in a heartbeat, put me in whatever and let me just work. I mean, you had the opportunity to learn how to act in front of the camera. You're being paid on a regular basis to do that. And, maybe you make a few bad pictures, but in the process of making those bad pictures, you learn how to do it, how to act in front of the camera. And it is different from acting on the stage, for sure, absolutely. It's totally different. So, so that's good side and the bad side. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. I mean, you gave me a nice introspective answer, and what I was listening to, I was thinking to myself, okay, if I were to ask you yourself, oftentimes actors, and to those that are listening, and it's true, because I hear this so many times about how oftentimes you always look for particular ways to make yourself stand out in a crowd, make yourself look different, come across differently in the hopes that you get this role. So for me, I wanted to ask you, what makes you so castable, in your opinion? What do you think makes the casting director or producer say, you know what, point on, this is the guy I want to use. This is the person I wish to utilize in my film. What do you think stands out about you yourself? I'm just curious.
Well, I've given a lot of thought to what the people behind the desk must think. One is, what does he look like? 2, what are his credits? What has he done? And 3, how is the audition? So you're going in, you're doing an audition. If you do something interesting, a standout audition, that's great. But then there are these other factors like, it looks wrong, or he looks like my uncle and I hate my uncle and I don't want, or, and is this a pleasant person? Are we liking him? Do we really want to work with him? So you have to have, learning how to be, delightful and charming and friendly and nice and caring, and have all, how to be a three-dimensional individual is essential, if you want to work, because people don't want to work with people that they don't like, So
Right.
I think, I've learned how to be the kind of guy that people want to work with. I'm very tall. I'm, fairly good looking. I've got some credits, but not, some decent credits, but they're not going to knock your socks off. So,
right.
But I think the only thing that I feel, it's terrible getting to be, old, shall we say, but on the other hand, I feel in many ways that because I'm tall and I have a lower voice, and there's always been a maturity about the sound of me, that that this should be my time. But on the other hand, people will look at me and go, I'm sure, and think, well, if he was really that good, then why hasn't he made it by now? So they might discount you because of your credits. The credits aren't good enough. It's so easy for these casting directors to just say, oh, look at all he's done. He must be good. Let's hire this person. And that really X's out the people there that are just like, chomping at the bit to get a role, and they've got the drive and the ambition and the talent and everything, but they don't have the credits that they're looking for, and that's so disappointing to me. I think too much is made of what you've done before, because I see a lot of people getting cast. They may have been spectacular in a role or two or three, but this role, why are we giving them this role? So just because you were good in something doesn't mean you're going to be perfect in something else.
No, I totally get that. I do, as a matter of fact. And the other thing that I wanted to mention to folks, because obviously, of course, not only do you act and not only do you sing, which we'll get to, but you have been a stage performer. So I've always been fascinated with the stage, because I know, of course, you've done there's like 10 different theater productions you've done. And I think one of the big ones, Jesus Christ Superstar, is a huge one, and Camelot is another one, Annie is another one. So it's not surprising to me that you gravitate to theater, but I guess my question to you was, I almost found it easier to picture you on a theater stage than I do on a film screen. Now, am I just seeing you wrong, or is that just the natural you?
Well, I have felt that way most of my career. I mean, I've thought of myself as a stage actor, but I've learned how to act in front of the camera, and I'm finding it to be, in some ways, more comfortable for me now. But I mean, I've got both skills, but it's like I just really can't quite answer the question, because it all depends upon how that person who's behind the desk sees you, and so I don't know. I put it out there. I'm one of these people that, I've got a large skill base. I can sing, I can act, I can do comedy, I can do, drama. I can weep for you if you want.
Oh my God, really?
I can tap into emotion in a heartbeat. And so, I don't know. If I were to choose what I would do, I would absolutely act on camera. That would make me very happy. Mind you, it's always nice to get back to the stage, and the fact that I sing, and I'm quite an accomplished singer, so if I can have an opportunity to use my singing voice, then it's more likely that that's going to happen on the stage, not in a film. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. You're doing quite well, as a matter of fact. When we talk about theater, too, that's the other thing that I think people don't always understand is, I'm guessing theater prep time, auditioning, you do the audition, you get the role, obviously, and then preparation, and then, of course, the duration of the theater. I would imagine it's just so much more elongated and lengthy. Is that a plus to you? Meaning, like, if you get booked for something in theater because you're guaranteed so many days, whereas film, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, theater is such a commitment. It's so difficult. You really, learning the lines, rehearsing. And you got to be ready to go out there at the drop of a hat, start that show, and go all the way to the end. There's no excuses. You just have to turn it out. That is a much harder discipline than film. You get to redo if you flubbed a line, and you constantly get to go back and do it again until you get it right. And theater is a real hard discipline, and I always took that for granted because that's what I grew up doing. But now that I've had the pleasure of doing some film work, it's film is almost a piece of cake to me by comparison.
Interesting. Well, that's a good segue into the next question. So you've obviously had some diversity here in some of the things you've done with film. Now, because I have children that are of that age, I have to ask you, because anytime my kids see that somebody I know was actually either in a video game or in a childlike film, and you've done both, and how kick-ass is that? So I didn't know about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle things. I kind of did, but now I do a lot more. And so I was like, oh, my God, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Crazy that I didn't actually associate Beau Allen with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you meet him, you'll understand what I mean. It's totally such a stretch. I'm like, what the hell? So talk to me about how you get incorporated with such a teen entity, kid entity, really, the TMNT thing. That it's a phenomenon, by the way. I mean, people love the Ninja Turtles of all ages. It's like literally it's a phenomenon. So how do you get yourself involved in something like that? And then not only that, you play Shredder, which is like this demonic, evil villain. Ew.
Well, one of the side effects of having a low voice like I have,
right,
and being able to put on an evil laugh, was, like I got a call one day, 1990, and from casting director who lived in the same building I was living in, and said, can you be over at such and such a studio on 42nd Street, this afternoon at 4 o'clock? And I said, yeah, sure, okay. And she said, just be really evil and, just laugh. And, so I went, and they were replacing somebody who was playing Shredder, and they weren't happy with this guy, and so they hired me basically on the spot. I had to leave, I believe, the next day for Glens Falls, New York, and learn. I had like 2 days, I think, to learn the show, and then go in the show in Glens Falls. And the next week, we went to Radio City Music Hall where we opened, and that week we played there 2 weeks, and they taped the show for pay-per-view there, which is so you can actually see it online. It's on YouTube, and then I toured with that for 10 months internationally. We went to Puerto Rico, and we went to Canada, and all over the United States, and we also did the Oprah show in Chicago. When we were playing Chicago, she devoted a whole show to the Turtles, and the Turtles were on stage with April O'Neil, who was being played by Sherry Renee Scott, who is a Broadway star. She's just a glorious soprano voice. And I had I think it was a 90-second segment where I came out from behind the stage, and I walked down a couple of steps to my mark, and the whole audience just erupted in boos. Boos were my applause back then. They just booed me and booed me and booed me, and I had a couple of funny ad-libs, and I called the Turtles Michelangelo and the Green Supremes. Oh, they were so pissed off when I did that. They'd never heard anything like that out of my mouth, and so they were like storming the stage, and it was like, it's like boo and hate, and yes, and I was just reveling in it. So, yeah, that was, and when I signed the program as Shredder, I signed it, Get a Life, Shredder.
Oh my gosh, look at that, how cute. Oh my God. Yeah, because I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Now, the video game, it's called I'm Your Man, and I don't know much, I know what my kids tell me, obviously, but this was done a bit ago, and so video game, again, is it the voice thing, or was this something that just kind of fell into your lap because you were starting to experience someone noticed you?
I'm Your Man. Is it a video game? It was some kind of a movie, and actually the same producer who produced the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle tour that I did produced that film, and I played a small role in it. I've never seen the film, and if it's a video game, I know nothing about it. I know it's one of those credits that I've done, but it's like, it's kind of a mystery. Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Now, we want to talk about Legit. Now, just so you folks know, because I put this in the description, of course, my first signature initial year for my film festival was this last year in 2017. And so the indie film production of Legit was actually one of the finalists for Best Comedic Series in my festival. Sadly, they did not win. However, the cast was so gracious not only to come to the festival and support the screening and do a very formal sort of interview with me, which I appreciated very much. And that's when I first got to meet our guest, of course. And so you play the role of Jake Milos in Legit. And I'm not going to lie to you folks. He's kind of a slime. I mean, you and Anthony, and I'm just thinking, what a jerk. That's all I was thinking of while I'm watching this. And that's a testament to you. You know what I mean? Because I guess anybody can just stand in a room and try to pretend. And I'm like, he just brings this whole seedy sort of, ew factor, like, ew, you know what I mean? So I want you to tell the folks a bit about Legit, and of course we have to send some love because I think if Eve's not on a plane yet, Eve Austin is listening to us. So I just want you to talk about the premise of the film and then tell us, because folks, guess what? It's all about prostitution. So rough job. He gets to walk around with women that are running around half naked, and they're all like sex kittens. And he gets paid for it, by the way. Yay! Tough job, right? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it was a really clever concept that they would try to legalize prostitution, and and of course, you could make an argument that it makes total sense. Get them paying taxes and health care involved and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, it was a clever idea, and I just came into it at the request of Eve Austin, whom I had worked with on another project briefly. And Jake Milos, I thought of him as a kind of a southern, slime ball, and I found myself talking, and it sounded like James Carvell or something, and so I just slimed that role, and it was, kind of, it was really fun to do, and I love the cast and love the concept. I would love to see it turn into something, maybe a TV series or something, It's really good.
It would be interesting. It really would. In fact, Eve and I were talking about this today, and I had said, well, obviously I created the calendar, and you guys are inside of this calendar, and so now I'm doing my own film this year, so my hope is I'll take it festival to festival to festival, and so it'll be available there in bars and restaurants and all sorts of places. And if enough hype gets out there, of course, and enough excitement and people want to see it, that always generates the buzz here and such. And true, just so you folks know, I mean, one way or the other, we'll have to get it to a public forum where people can see it, because I'm just darn proud. I'm not going to lie. I've gotten to know almost everybody in the cast. They're extraordinary. They're all very intelligent. They're all very exceptionally hardworking individuals. And I like that it's an older cast. So if you guys see, there's a younger portion to it, but not everybody is 20 years old and running around either. And if you want to see kind of hot guys running around with almost nothing on, and, Eve Austin's a little sex kitten along with Christine there, that's your show. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. Oh, and side note, I bet you didn't know this. He did it. I cracked up, folks. I see this on his resume that it says he's got a TV project he's done, and it's called Red Rum. And all I could think of was that damn Shining movie with the murder spelled backwards. And then it got me to thinking, why have you never played a serial killer? I could totally see. I mean, dude, you're tall and you got the voice. Yeah. I'm waiting for you to kill me. Like literally, hey Cindy, let's have drinks, and no one sees Cindy next week because Big Bad what's his name here is killing me. But no, has anybody ever looked at you and thought you'd be the stereotypical killer? Because of the sound and the height and
Yeah, well, that's what I did basically on Red Rum. Yeah, that's an investigation discovery TV series, and I played Richard McNulty, a real life killer, and so that was interesting. Yeah, I have that range, even though I'm totally harmless person, but I can be frightening and intimidating fairly easily. So it's in my wheelhouse, as they say. So that is something I can do. Mm-hmm.
Great. Just keep that in mind, folks. Notice how shady he does not sound while he's talking about that. Just creeping me out just listening to it. That's fine. So one of the biggest things here that I want to talk about is, of course, your singing voice. First of all, I'm frustrated. I took those two things you sent me, and I just couldn't get it cut down and put together. So sadly, nobody gets to listen to Beau sing, which means we either have to have an event where he sings, or we have to have him back on the show again so he can sing. Either way. But I've heard you sing before. In fact, if you go on social media, you can actually hear him sing, because I've seen on Facebook, I've literally clicked, and you posted something where you were just doing a little ditty and singing, of course. So I don't know about, because I couldn't find out from anyone or on researching, if you have actual formal training, meaning you practiced when you were young on, or you did a number of different classes, etc. So how did you develop your singing voice? And moreover, do you put together your own music, your own compilations?
I got the lead in the 6th grade operetta, and that sort of hooked me on singing and being on the stage. So I had an interest, and I had a natural gift. And I did study, both in high school and in college, and when I left college and got to New York as well. I was very lucky right out of college to land in the Broadway show, Jesus Christ Superstar. I mean, it was almost instantaneous. Graduated from college in June of 72, and by September of 72, I was on Broadway. So, I mean, it was like unbelievable. So, again, this is, it's a good idea to train if you can, although some people have just got a natural quality, and there are times when some people will say don't train, particularly perhaps if they want to have a pop voice, or, some recording artists, they don't encourage you to train. But if you want to do theater and learn how to project your voice and to increase your range, then, it's a good idea to train your voice. And so I have trained. I just sung my whole life. It's one of my greatest joys. When I think about somebody like Julie Andrews, who had surgery and couldn't sing like she used to, I think that would be a tragedy bar none. I mean, if suddenly I couldn't sing anymore, that would be very depressing. I mean, I just derive so much joy from being able to sing and make music. Yeah, love it. Oh, goodness.
Now, like I said, I mean, do you sit down and you just decide for yourself, okay, I'm just going to sing cover things or established music? Is there ever a possibility that you've published your own music, or do you do that? I mean, do you have the ability to write your own music as well as sing it?
Oh, I've dabbled in writing little things. Not much. Nothing ever came of it. What I have done, the most significant thing that I did was I put together a program of music that I sang 2 New Year's Eves in a row. Not this last one, but 2015 and 16 in Westport. I did a whole program of Broadway, nightclub, Frank Sinatra, pop kind of music. I put a program together, and stupid me, I didn't have it recorded. I could kick myself for that. I've got to do it again somewhere and get it recorded. It was quite a wonderful program. I mean, I literally sang. First time I sang 45 minutes, but the last time I sang for an hour and a half. I didn't even have a sip of water. I sang the entire time, an hour and a half, and it was pretty amazing. It was a good program. I had some friends there, and one is a woman who did her own nightclub act back in her day, and she said, I would have thought Martin Sharnon had put that program together for you. She thought it was that good. So, yeah.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
I have an enormous ability to feel music and to know what follows what and how to present it, and it's just getting up the nerve to actually, just do it and go for broke. And of course, if I were to do it in New York City, which I need to do, then you have to get people there to see it. And so, right. Can I really draw a crowd? I mean, can I draw a crowd? Because there's not much point in doing it if nobody shows up. So, you got to do it. So, God.
I get you. I totally get it. I do.
Yeah.
You do. Now, before I forget to ask you this, of course, now I know that you have listed the finished production of Smokescreen, so I wanted to get an ETA on that, or do you have a status on what's happening with that project?
They've been showing it at film festivals. I'm actually just a voiceover on that film. I actually don't have any screen time. I did a voiceover, and I haven't seen the film yet. I'm hoping to get to one of these festivals and see it. But, so I don't, it'd be interesting for you to see it, wouldn't it? Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it definitely would. And I wanted to throw that out to my listeners, too, because I was like, if they're looking for something, because, of course, I want to ask you, now, what's on the horizon? Do we have something exciting to look forward to, a new project that you're doing, what's happening, or if women that are single want to meet you in the near future, any appearances, any place they can find you?
I have no definite commitments at the moment. I'm auditioning right and left constantly, hoping something will come up soon. But I don't have any commitments. Now, I will tell you this. I can be seen on screen in The Post. Yes,
really?
Post
I just saw
with
that.
Meryl Streep. Now, I didn't have a principal role. I have no lines, but I've been recognized by people who didn't even know I'd worked on it. So there's a scene where Meryl Streep is giving a party on her terrace, and I worked 2 days there on that terrace on a set, and I forget it was Queens or Brooklyn, one. And so... yeah, I'm one of the guests, and I'm the real tall guy.
Yeah. You can't miss the real tall guy.
Yeah, and she addresses the party guests and a little speech she gives, and so she's talking to us, so we are essentially her acting partner. So the camera moved at one point from behind her, looking at us, listening to her speech. And so that's, I'm in the back and my head is, above the crowd because I'm so tall. And, you can see me there. And so, so I am represented in The Post. Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, young man, there's a few things that we have to go over here before we both go on our merry way. Because for one, of course, Mom has mom duty because I'm excited my kids actually have another wrestling match. I mean, I'm excited, but this is like every week now, and they practice like 5 days a week. And I'm like, I think we're all kind of over it, but I'm like, yay, team. So I want to get this interview, and so I can rush over to I have to rush and pick up catalogs, which I have to mail, and then I have to rush over to there, and then I have to rush to the stupid gym that I don't want to go to. So there's a couple of things we want to do. First of all, just to let everybody know that's listening in, and I think I told everybody already, about 2 hours or so after this episode is live, it becomes archived, and I'll send you a copy of it, the Blog Talk Radio one, as well as I upload it to YouTube, so people can go back any point in time and they can listen to this as far as that goes. So that's number one. So this way, then they can go back and listen anytime, because some people aren't off of work right now, etc. Now, just so you folks know, I have the following listed here. Obviously, you have your Facebook profile. You obviously have your IMDb profile. You're also on Backstage.com. To folks listening in, the indie film that we were talking about is called Legit the Movie. If you look online on Facebook, you'll find Legit. It's Legit is the name of the movie, of course. Any other places where people can find you?
No, I'm on Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I don't tweet. I don't do all that stuff.
I saw.
Yeah.
I don't do all that stuff. You know, that actor promotional sort of thing, because some of them are like on 85 places. I can't even keep track of it. I have a hard enough time posting on 4 of them. And I'm like, how are you going to find time for everything? So I'm like, okay, great. It's nuts, right? I mean, it's crazy, but it's the business of
Enough
business
already.
I know. Thank you. Thank you.
I read the other day that Renee Zellweger had to just sort of, drift out of the limelight for a while because she, quote unquote, got sick of the sound of her own voice. And it's like, I mean, sometimes I get real, trigger finger happy on Facebook, and I'm just posting right and left. And then other times I go, oh, my God, nobody cares what I think. I'm just going to shut up for a while.
That is not true. Social media is a great place to meet people. It's a great place to build friendships, too, and obviously not just the business stuff. But I totally get what you're saying.
I got to say, I'm thrilled to be in touch with so many wonderful people and people from my past. And, it has served an enormous purpose for me. And so I don't want to knock it, but there are times when I go, oh, Lord, let me just be quiet for a while.
No, I totally agree with you. I do, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, the last part of our show before I let you go is I always have surprises for the guests. That's like a new thing lately. It used to be, the target thing used to be I'd have everybody come on, and then I'd be like, first of all, before I give you any surprises, answer the question, which was I was trying to get a interview with Michael Madsen for like forever. And so I'd ask everybody, like, I know you have a cell phone, right? Just give me a cell phone number and call. Well, eventually, I just lucked out. I got to know his kid, and then I helped support his child, and then very graciously he came on the show with his son, which was neat. So I was like, okay, so I don't have to ask you about Michael Madsen anymore. So I'll just do this. I have a surprise for you, and then I get to tell you what I think of you, and then I have to run the hell out of here, otherwise I'm going to be late. So here's the surprise. I got to thinking about, okay, it's too late to cast Beau because my own film is about to start shooting, and I'm already going insane and broke by doing this. So I'm like, I can't really cast him, so what can I do with him? So I said, let's utilize one of the best possible qualities he has. And so since we've had this conversation, I listened to you, and you gave me a sense of the fact that you kind of do this. I was wondering how much begging I would have to do if you could maybe come up with some music and sing something that I could use on the soundtrack for my film.
Oh, well, that would be very interesting for me, yeah.
You don't have to think this right now. You can think about it. I mean, and we can talk about it more.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. See, nobody says no to me. I kind of like that. Sucks that my love life's not like that. But it's like, everybody's
You're
like, oh, yeah, on the show. So I'm like, yeah, that's right. Okay, didn't get me a husband. Okay, whatever. But no. So good. We covered the big surprise, which is awesome. And, of course, I don't need to tell you this, but you're more than welcome to attend this year's festival, unless I get pissy and cancel it, which I doubt. It's August 16th to the 19th, so I'll be in New York City again. So you can always come and see me there, and I'm sure Eve will be there. She's one of my biggest supporters. And we love you, Eve, just so you know. We love you and Anthony and David and everybody else in the cast.
We do,
so,
yes.
Thing I do on my show is really more for the benefit of both me and you. Well, not really, because we both know you and I know you, but the reality is people listening in, I do my research very well, but most importantly, these last reflections that I offer about you are just reflections, literal reflections of the person that I've come to know. So I get to tell you what I think of you. And then I'm going to get the hell off of my phone. So these are my impressions of Beau, and keep in mind, of course, that I met him at the Art is Alive Film Festival, and then I slowly got to know him through Facebook and, of course, conversations with his fellow castmates. So here we go, sir. This is what we think of you. Today, in preparation for doing the radio show, I got an opportunity to go back and talk to some of your cast members. And there was this resounding theme that came across, and everybody talks about Beau Allen. What they say is he's very gracious, he's very gentlemanly, he's very hardworking, he's very humble, and he has sacrificed to get to the place where he is. To me, all of those words scream sensational on every single platform. I'm a huge admirer of actors and individuals that take something that's so special to them, whether it's acting or singing or any form of creative art, and they turn it into something that they send out into the world that makes magic in other people's lives, whereas you've touched them or moved them, etc. You've done an extensive body of work, although the numbers may not reflect as much. What's extensive about it is that everything that you've done has either made somebody cringe or laugh or smile or be moved in the heart in some way. to move someone's heart and soul is the biggest thing you could ever do in your lifetime. You do that with your voice. You do that with your presence. You do that with just your signature smile. I don't think you realize that. In fact, I think you're almost too humble. Your cast absolutely love you. I have a respect and adoration for you because of the fact that you can make me laugh and scare the shit out of me at the same time, which is absolutely awesome. Not everybody gets to do that. It is such a pleasure to have more of a veteran actor on my show because you didn't just start yesterday, which means you don't take anything for granted because you are very, very, very versed in being perfectly good at almost everything you do, which kind of sucks. Moreover, you don't have a weight problem. You're a perfect-looking actor. You've met the legendary John Lithgow, which makes it even more awesome. And my hope is that if I continue to do film, that one day I'll be blessed to have you on my set and I can say, stop scaring me, or better yet, don't put me in a body bag or whatever. I don't know why I'm on this murder thing. I'm over it. But just know that I hope that your time with me has been wonderful, and I pray that if you have anything coming up or even if you just want to come and shoot the shit, feel free to come back on my show anytime. You're just a gem. Really.
Oh, you have touched my heart, Cindy. Thank you so much for those kind words, and I just adore you. And your train of thought, it's just it's mesmerizing. I mean, you just go at a mile a minute, and you are able to express yourself so thoroughly in such a short amount of time. I can
barely
keep up with you. It's just amazing, and so it's a thrill to have enjoyed this moment with you. I really, really, I'll be thinking about it. It'll be in my dreams for weeks, I'm sure. But
that is absolutely awesome. It is. And certainly keep me in touch. We'll talk after the show, of course, about the music side of things. And then, like I said, I will have my agenda by the end of this week. I'll let you know if I'm in the city for a birthday, etc. I'll keep you posted on that. Now go and enjoy your afternoon. I'm going to go see my little people. Right. Thank you, honey.
My dear. God bless.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Tell me he's not fabulous, right? Right? Okay, 3 quick things. Eve Austin, can't thank you enough. Love the shit out of you. We both love the shit out of you. You're inspirational. You're absolutely intelligent. You're absolutely lovely and adorable, and I can't thank you enough. If there wasn't you and Christine in this film and your cast, I wouldn't have this lovely man in my life. So thank you so much for that. Thank you to everybody that was listening in today. Reminder to everybody, his name is Beau, and it's B-E-A-U. Last name is Allen, A-L-L-E-N. He can be found on Facebook, Backstage.com, IMDb, as well as Legit the Movie, or it's Legit, L-E-G-I-T. Just type in Legit Beau Allen, Legit Eve Austin, Legit Anthony Robert Grasso, Legit Janine Bartel, Legit David Hilstein. Notice I just dropped all those names. That was completely free promotion. I love that. Anyways, folks, I got to run. I got to see my beautiful children. Thanks again for supporting and listening in. Tune in tomorrow, like I said, 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. We'll talk to you then, you guys. Take care.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS and an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What a matchup! And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS and an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.